Hello everyone, and welcome to another off-road update. Heading into round 6 of the 2024 Grand National Cross Country season, there were more questions than there were answers. Johnny Girroir and Stu Baylor had each won 2 events, but neither rider asserted themselves as the one to take control of the championship chase. As the riders headed to Ironman Raceway in Crawfordsville, Indiana for the Hooser GNCC, whoever came out on top between those two was going to take the momentum heading into the second half of the season. 8 o'clock kicked off the usual start for the 90-minute youth bike race on Sunday morning. Rounding corner number 1 and grabbing the whole shot in the opening chicane was previous round winner Brody Amos aboard his Husqvarna, followed by Easton Uplinger, Caleb Johnson, Cole Parlin, and Caleb Wood. Partway through the opening lap, Amos held the lead while defending youth national champion Wood had moved into second. Doc Smith, overcoming a poor start, moved into third while Johnson and Parlin rounded out the top 5. Camp Coker winner Braden Baisley was overcoming a first lap crash and was back in 7th. Amos crossed the finish line on lap 1 ahead of Wood, Smith, Baisley, and Johnson. On lap 2, the order would stay the same minus third place rider Doc Smith. The Indiana native suffered a mechanical and would not finish the remainder of the race. Luke Newton would move himself into the top 5 at the end of lap number 2. The Hoosier Youth course was the longest one of the year thus far, creating the longest lap times of the season, with the leaders posting over 17-minute laps by the end of the race. At the completion of lap 3, Caleb Wood took over the lead just ahead of Amos, while Baisley had moved into the final podium position. Johnson held 4th, while Ethan Harwell had moved into the top 5. The running order would remain the same for the final 2 laps. The only close battle was between Johnson and Harwell heading into the final lap. At the checkered flag, Caleb Wood was back to his winning ways, taking the win with nearly a minute and a half advantage. Amos brought home the runner-up finish, with Baisley taking the final spot on the podium. Caleb Johnson, who had been plagued with mechanical issues during the first part of the season, posted 4th, while Ethan Harwell had rounded out the top 5.
Yeah, just the first 3 laps, it was really slick on top, so I was just trying to take as much time as I could, not make any mistakes, and then the last 3 laps, there was a good rut formed around the entire track. There was like a turn track back at the shoals, dude. We were shredding it, but yeah, it was fun.
At 10 o'clock, the WXC class took off on the first line of their 2-hour race. Grabbing the whole shot was Gas Canada FXR back Shelby Turner. She ran wide though, allowing defending national champion Rachel Archer and Corey Seed to move into the lead positions heading into the woods. Brandy Richards and Jocelyn Barnes were close behind. Just a few miles into the opening lap, Archer held the lead with Indiana favorite Rachel Gudish in second. Steed was in third while Jordan Jarvis had moved into 4th, dropping Turner to 5th with Richards right behind. Pulling ahead of the leading WXT riders from the Sportsman A class was local Indiana hotshot Jack Joy, as well as 2011 Grand National Cross Country champion Charlie Mullins. Archer led the way through lap 1, with Steed moving into second ahead of Gudish in third, with Turner and Jarvis rounding out the top 5. Halfway through the second lap of racing at the creek crossing, which had risen several inches after rain Friday and Saturday, Archer was all alone out front. The battle for second raged on between Steed and Gudish, who were separated by just bike lengths. Turner still held 4th with a solid gap over Jarvis back to 5th. As the riders made their way towards the white flag, the lead that Archer had built up was gone. Only 5 seconds separated the Kawasaki pilot from the Husqvarna rider with just 1 lap to go. 1 mile into the final lap, several riders were stuck in a mud hole that included Archer and Gudish. Steed quickly moved to the front, but was overtaken shortly after by Archer. The battle for the win was going down to the wire, or so it seemed. With the checkers waving, Rachel Archer came through to take her 3rd victory of the season. The crowd waited for second between Steed and Gudish. After 2 minutes, to everyone's surprise, it was Shelby Turner coming through from 4th to grab the runner-up position. As Rachel Gudish checked in for 3rd, everyone was wondering what happened to Steed. For the second time in 3 races, the Ohio native had run out of fuel in her Husqvarna. Fortunately, she was able to get fuel and finish the race in 4th, with Jordan Jarvis rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, got a good start. I think Shelby got me on the whole shot, but then she overshot the corner and got into the lead, had a good lead going. And then going into the last lap, I buried my bike pretty bad, just over here. And I think Corey got past me. And I was pushing so hard to catch back up. Didn't think I had it, but I guess she ran out of gas or something, and I was able to get back in the lead. So pretty stoked with that. Win's a win, and another good day for points, so pretty happy.
When the XC1 field took off for the 3-hour afternoon race, it was a 3-rider fight at the line for the whole shot money between Johnny Girroir, Evan Smith, and Craig Delong. Grabbing the whole shot was KTM's Girroir, taking the lead into the woods ahead of Delong and Smith, with Trevor Bollinger and Lyndon Snodgrass in tow. Partway through the opening lap, Girroir held the point position ahead of Snodgrass, Smith, Jordan Ashburn, and Delong. Championship rival Stu Baylor was fighting his way from the back after a bad line in the early going, putting the Red Bear rider to the rear of the field. The field shifted behind Girroir nearing the end of lap 1, with Ashburn and Mike Wachowski moving into the 2nd and 3rd positions, pushing Snodgrass and DeLong back to 4th and 5th, with Bollinger closely following. The running order would be the same at the completion of the first lap, with Baylor checking in 8th. At the creek crossing on the 2nd lap, Girroir held a 20-second lead over Ashburn and Wachowski, DeLong, and Snodgrass. By the end of the lap, Baylor would move his way into 6th. The running order would mainly go unchanged during the next lap, as the only positions changing were between DeLong and Snodgrass, with the Kawasaki rider surviving this mishap at the top of the hill climb. The running order would shift entering lap 4 as the riders went through for their pit stops right at the end of the lap. Girroir still held the lead while defending champ DeLong had taken over runner-up position, with Baylor following in 3rd. Wachowski had dropped to 4th, with Ashburn relegating all the way back to 5th. The next 2 laps of the 7-lap race, the running order was Girroir ahead, with Baylor and DeLong fighting amongst themselves for 2nd and 3rd, while closing the gap to the points leader ahead of them. Ashburn and Wachowski rounded out the top 5. Snodgrass suffered mechanical issues on lap 5 and was out of the race. With the white flag out, it was Baylor ahead of Girroir, with DeLong falling off the pace by over 45 seconds. Girroir was mounting a charge to make the pass on Baylor, but a heavy crash on the final lap ended his chances at the win. When the checkers fell, Stu Baylor took his 2nd straight victory of the season. Girroir would come through in 2nd, with DeLong earning his first podium of the season, finishing 3rd. Afterwards, however, Girroir had been penalized for taking fuel outside of his pit area and was docked to 3rd, moving DeLong up to 2nd. Ashburn and Wachowski rounded out the top 5.
Yeah, definitely. Had an okay start. Came off the line mid-pack. And lap 1 over in the bike-only section, they changed the section that I had already walked and kind of had my line planned. And when I got to it, everybody cut right. I went to where I planned on going and went all the way to the back of the pack. So from there, I just spent the rest of the race kind of digging out of the hole, and finally, going into the last lap, I was finally able to get to the lead. But you know, it was a dogfight. It was one of those days where a lot of mistakes were made, a lot of time on the ground, just trying different lines, trying to make things work, forcing it where I probably should have waited a few times. But man, when you're in the back and you know where you got to be, it's tough not to. So we gave everything we had to the finish, and definitely felt more exerted after this race than any race all year. So I know I pushed it to my personal max, and it's always good to know, like, hey, I left it all on the track.
Thank you everyone for watching. Next up is round 7 of the 2024 Grand National Cross Country Series, returning to Powerline Park for the first time in years in St. Clairsville, Ohio on May 7th and 8th. I'll see you guys there.